Let me ask you a question. What things on this earth do humans own? An idea? Maybe an invention? What about living things like plants, animals, birds? Humans often feel like we have dominance over other animals, but in a stare down with a moose, who's really in control? Just because someone, so-called, discovered it, does that mean that they own it? An eponym is when something is named after a human because of their involvement in its discovery or just simply to honor that person. Eponyms are often opposed to descriptive names, names that describe physical features such as color, bill shape, size, sometimes its nesting location, or even based off of the call that they make.
I think eponyms are an interesting relic that naming birds after people is great for when you're trying to get money to go and research things and find new species or explore new areas. The problem with that obviously comes down to not really telling you anything about the individual species whatsoever. The indigenous people of that area probably had names for these species to begin with, which are probably better describing what they do or what they are, or at least what they're known for culturally.
If we look at many of the people that these birds are named after, we realize that they were actually terrible people. These are people that committed genocide on indigenous communities. Many were naturalists that would try to obtain the skulls of minorities by horrific means to prove on a medical level that they are inferior to white people.
Eponyms and honorific bird names, those actually present barriers to diversity and inclusion. We need to take action to address this through renaming. It's really a simple step, but it achieves a lot.
I think we should remove the people that have their Latin names or their names are associated with plant names or bird names, and go back to maybe what the first people have called them, because why use Latin when there's Blackfoot names or Cree names that could adequately describe the bird, or so be incorporated into books.
What a shame that some of these birds, have that like Townsend's warbler, right? Like, what a bummer for Townsend's warbler that they have to get associated with this not very nice person in history.
I think what it does to take down those monuments, to remove the eponyms, is to recognize that so-called dominant cultural experience is not universal, and in fact it can and has been very harmful to other parts of our society. And we want to be inclusive, I think. I don't think there's anybody who doesn't care about their brothers and sisters on this planet.
A lot of those eponyms that just are given to people who, in one form or another, were involved in either the slave trade or taking land from indigenous peoples back in the 1800s or other things that just are unacceptable now. So
all the guidebooks have the old names, and things will have to be updated. I think that's a minor concern, to be honest, because we're changing birds' names relatively regularly anyways. When you take off people's names, then you don't have to worry about what kind of person this was, and does this person still deserve to be honored by a bird's name. If we were going to use a name that you just had to memorize, not because it looks like anything on the bird, then I would be happier to go with an indigenous name, a First Peoples name.
Being a birder, I like to get out on the land, but I don't go beyond my reserve boundaries. For me to go out on a back road, I could be risking my life, like Colt and Bushy, right? Like, they ran out of gas and farmer shot him in the back of the head, right? So
bird names should reflect inclusivity, right, and be relatable to all members of society. Once you sort of explain to someone why that name needed to be removed, I've had basically no pushback. A person like that who did so many awful things in his life, you can't name anything after that person going forward. Our society has changed. I sort of refuse to call this cancel culture at all. It's not cancel culture. It's actually correcting an injustice. And to be honest, I'm sort of over having birds named after people, right? They're just boring, right? Let's call it what it is.
You might think the weather's kinda cold, but you know you've got a hand to hold. Come along now and play. What a wonderful day. Your white cheeks are so hard to resist. Those red lips are longing for a kiss. Come along